Hey guys, Hastings here and welcome to episode 5 of Rapid Racing. Sorry that it's going up a day late. It's currently Thursday evening when I'm finally getting this sorted, so it won't be up until Friday. But it's only a day late. I don't normally have a Friday video that it will replace anyway. This video's been a complete nightmare to sort out. I was going through it and it suddenly decided that every single one of the audio files was going to completely corrupt. So everything is going to be completely post-commentary. Normally the bit you're seeing on screen I would live commentate, and then it would be post-commentary from the build of the car onward. As you can see, the spinner gave us D-Class for the second week running. Fantastic. Yay. I'm really enthusiastic about it. But yeah, I wasn't particularly thrilled to have a D-Class car again. Every so often it's not too bad to go for the lowest class, but 2 weeks in a row it's just kind of boring. So I decided to go for something that I knew would be pretty quick, just to sort of see how good a car I could build really. I decided to go for the Lotus 11. As you can see, there was no garage symbol there, so I've never actually driven this car. It's one of the free ones that you can get for one time only when you download the DLC. So this is the car that we are going with this week. And when it comes to the build, pretty standard really. I put some tyres on. Which ones did I go for? I went for the I don't know, which one am I going for? I can't remember, to be honest. Street tyres, and then we'll just shoot through the build. We'll get into the races in a minute. We've put in on the driveline, the clutch, just a typical build. We've gone for a little bit of power and a little bit of extra power, should I say, and a little bit of extra handling, getting the roll bars in there. Better brakes are always vital. And this week I did decide to put the roll cage in. I don't always, but I thought I might as well. A little bit of extra power there. I think it was all 18 power there added, and then just trying to find something else that would put us up to sort of on the limit for PI. We find there another, I think it's about 5 or 6 horsepower. I couldn't really see. It was going too quickly. Then get a flywheel on, and just to make up the PI, we upgraded I think that's the rear tyre widths. I'm not sure how long I had left at this point, but it was long enough to decide to go and try and do some tuning. I've said a few times before, I'm not the best at tuning, but I've sort of kind of established now a sort of tune that I kind of just do anyway, regardless of whether it actually improves my car. I just sort of do it a lot, and it seems to work for me. So I generally just lower it. I lower the car, put the brake bar slightly towards the front, and stiffen up basically everything, just slightly. So I was just about to go into paint the car, and then realised that I don't need to record that bit. So we're going to go on to our first race, which is at Catalunya, and we're starting sort of in the middle of the pack, not really particularly near the front or near the back. Being a D-Class lobby, it's not a massive lobby. I think there was only about 10 or 11 people in this one. But we got a pretty good launch, and we're past a few cars, I believe, at the start. Currently just behind a couple of nice muscle cars. Oh, and a Mini as well. Round the first corner, and they all seem to be going very wide, so we jump up the inside of the blue Shelby, as does the BMW behind us, and then the next corner we jump up the inside of the red Mustang. So does the BMW behind us, and we set off in pursuit of the Mini, with the BMW behind us. Coming around the top of the hill, and the Mini's actually got quite a bit of a lead. Going through there, he gets right on the dirt. I take a little bit, but I seem to carry much more momentum, as this is a horrible camera, but I do manage to get past the Mini through getting a much better run through the corners. He outbrakes himself massively, although he does manage to carry a hell of a lot of speed on the run-out area. Fortunately for me, it wasn't quite enough speed, and I took first position within 1 lap. The Mini did manage to stay ahead of the BMW, which is behind us, slightly off camera. There he is. And the Mini seemed to be a little bit all over the place on the first lap, going very wide there, and then cuts back on track, and then bumps over the curbs on the first part of the chicane, a little bit sideways on his exit. And we come down to the first test of straight line speed. Being a Lotus 11, I was slightly worried that we was going to get completely bombed down the straight and everything would just fly past us, like a complete contrast to the Aston Martin from last week. I bet the Aston Martin from last week would bomb past this on a straight. I was going past everything. But we do manage to retain our position, and the BMW managed to get ahead of the Mini, so it's now him that is chasing us down. A few corners into the lap, and as we go into the hairpin, I got it rather wrong. Clipped a big curb on the inside, and it threw me sideways, which allowed the BMW to get right up onto my tail. And we just managed to hold him there for a corner or two, but I get very sideways again out the next corner, which allowed the BMW to pull alongside, albeit on the outside for the first part of the chicane. I gave him too much room there. I should have been a bit more bullish, and he managed to go around the outside and nick the inside and take the racing line for the chicane. He got very sideways though and put me off a little bit, but I still managed to get a better run into the final corner, and I managed to go up the inside. Now this is a much clearer drag race. As you can see, the BMW is starting to pull ahead. If this had been the last lap, he probably would have got to the start-finish line first. But once we got towards sort of the final drive at the top end, I seem to have a very small advantage. Not massive, but big enough so that I'd get to the first corner first and get the inside line. Again, I was probably giving him too much room, being too cautious up the inside. And the BMW managed to hold it around the outside. And as I was trying to compensate by putting my foot down on the exit, I managed to go very sideways. And that didn't go particularly well. I'm very close to his rear bumper now, but there's not a lot I can do up to this into this section. There's no real braking points. There's no real way that I can get past unless I was a lot faster than he. But that was not the case. I'm really trying to stick with him now, and just following as close as I can. That last camera wasn't particularly representative of it, but you can see I'm still very close to his rear bumper, very close to him. But he's just starting to eke out a little bit of a gap. I was a few corners ago, I was right underneath his rear wing. But coming down to the chicane again, and he's just pulling away just that little bit, which isn't ideal for us, because he managed to continue pulling that gap throughout the rest of the race. And as we come round onto the chicane again for the last lap, you can see that he's just managed to pull away far enough and keep it clean enough so that we can't catch him. As soon as he got to the point where I knew I wasn't going to catch him unless he made a mistake, I just eased off a little bit just to make sure that I wasn't going to make a mistake and lose my position. So we're going to come across the line in second position for the first race. It's a pretty good effort, I think, at being the first race in a new car. It's not the best result we've had in a first race, but it's pretty damn good. The second race we went to Bathurst, where again I would kind of start pretty much in the middle of the pack with the Golf behind me. Keep an eye on him. And we get a pretty decent start, going past the Corrado, as does the Golf behind us, and I try and cut to the inside, but I realise I'm not going to get a move done, so I start braking quite early. The Golf doesn't, and there's a little bit of a collision. And yeah, I may have lost a position or two. But up here, I've slowed this down, because once the Kia gets out the way, you should be able to see that I'm kind of squashed in between two cars. And all three of us ended up spearing off the track. I basically had a car on my right and a car on my left, and neither of them were giving me any room. I couldn't go anywhere. So I tried to ease off so they sort of go ahead of me. But that kind of didn't work because they were cutting across me. And as they sort of spun across me, I spun with them, which was really rather annoying. So we're now on a recovery drive. We're going up the hill, and there are some cars right there, so I'm assuming there has been some sort of collision at the top of the hill, because we're right on the pack in front of us. Indeed, there was another collision. That looked pretty menacing from that Golf, but we will take it. We'll take every position we can, and we gained 3 positions. Coming into the downhill section now, and we are getting pretty close to this Kia Ceed, which went past in the foreground around the first corner. And as we get onto the straight, I'm really wide. I'm not sure, and I can't remember if I actually tapped the wall there, but if I didn't, it was very close. The damage there would suggest that I might have, but I was in a collision earlier, so it might not have been from that. And we're taking a drag race now to try and get past the Kia Ceed, which we do manage to do. Definitely helped by the fact that Kia Ceed is running a nice big unaerodynamic rear wing. Good for drag, not good for speed. Good for not drag racing. Good for creating drag to create downforce. Yeah, I probably should have not said that, or just clarified it a bit better. Anyway, I got very sideways through the chicane and allowed the Kia right back up behind me with a sniff of an overtake on the cards. I take the wide line and give him room just in case he does want to give a dive. I actually take a few cones out, but he doesn't want to go up the inside, so I'll go around the corner and take that position off of him. And I finished the first lap having gained a few positions back that we lost at the first corner. Second lap now, and most of it I was just chasing down the cars in front. But as we come round the corner before the very long straight, I can smell positions. There are two people on my screen. I can see them there. There's a Fiat Abarth and there's an old Mini. And I'm going to hopefully have enough straight line speed so I'll be close enough to be able to overtake them going into the final few corners. Remember, this is only 2 laps at D-Class, 2 laps at Bathurst. We have the same track in the same class 2 weeks in a row as well. So yes, this is the final few corners, and there's quite a gap to that Abarth, but under braking, I must have fantastic brakes, because look at that, I'm right behind him. It looked like he got under the dirt a bit. I've got a much better drive out the chicane, go around the outside and take the inside for the next corner, and I've got another position. Can we get past the Mini as well? We just need a really good drive out of this final corner. We might be able to out-drag him to the straight. He's lagging around all over the place, got no idea where he is. But I don't quite manage to overtake him for his position. Considering that was a recovery drive, we managed to get back up to 3rd position. Not bad, I don't think. The final race, we started on the front row at the Bernese Alps. I don't like the Bernese Alps. I'm not a huge fan of either of the original circuits on this game. I don't like Prague either. But we started on the front row and we managed to get a decent start and take the lead before the first corner. Pontiac kind of coming with us, but going very sideways with the first corner and dropping back a little bit. You can see I've already established a fairly sizable lead in the first few corners, and there was a nice jump here which I got some nice airtime of. Hopefully you'll see that much better in the thumbnail of this video. And yeah, there's not really a lot to say because this car was very quick around this track. You can see here the screen, it'll just come into shot there and then he's gone. So I'm going to try something slightly different this week. Simply because this is the last lap that I'm coming on to now, and there's no one about me. There's no point in saving it as a surprise or whatever. I won this race by a long way, and there's not a lot for me to commentate on just watching my driver go around the track. Well, not my driver, me in the past. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the scores while I'm driving around, while we're watching me drive around, but it wasn't me now, it was me before. I totally made sense of that. But anyway, we'll move on to the scores. The Lotus came 2nd at Catalonia. Not ashamed to say that I just got outclassed by a better driver in probably a better car. And in the second race at Bathurst, we had the recovery drive up to 3rd position. And in this race at Bernese Alps, we won from the start. We won from the front row of the grid, so no surprise there. So that's the first car that we've had that's had a podium in every single race. The Aston Martin had more wins that had 2 first positions, but he also it's not a he, that car, me, I finished 4th in that car in the second race. So it's the first car to have 3 podiums in 3 races. So for that, I'm going to give it the highest score so far for speed. I'm going to give it a 2. Not perfect, because this car is not perfect. Like you saw at Catalonia, it and I were outclassed in a better driver and car combination. So it's going to get a 2. I'm saving out for that perfect one. In terms of drive, it was very easy and good to drive. So I'm going to give it a 3 as I come along to cross the finish line. I'm just also going to finish off watching the driver wander around, see how well he can do. So yes, it was standard to drive. I've given it the same score as the BMW in A class because it was very nice to drive. It was easy, but it didn't stand out as being fun to drive. It was quite annoying when I got it sideways. You've probably seen that a few times in this video. So that's the scores that it's got. That gives it a total of 11 points. We're getting very close to single digits there. And that takes it to the top of our table. So every single episode so far, the car we've had has gone fastest. Can I keep this up next week as well? Tune in to find out. Hastings out. Goodbye.